Andy first. My name's Lee. This evening, is John Lang. Catherine unavoidably detained elsewhere, but me and John are going over the hot topics of the week, which in this case is the big treble that was overnight treble that was done by certain gamblers. Fire away 25-1 into even money, blowing Dixie 16-1 into 4-6, and Gallaghers Cross 33-1 into 4-5. Something that we don't see this very often. Obviously, the first two horses in this treble were successful, and the final one, unfortunately, not doing the business and finishing just out of the places. John, have you been in touch with today's event?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you couldn't be sort of conscious today not how today's event touches in somewhere. Even though most of my betting was rained on in Ireland today, I did take an interest in what was going on at Sutherland Mussey, and especially the last one where it turned out to be all about the base because there was no treble, was there?
I mean, you kind of felt. I mean, I was thinking before that 425, this has to be the biggest watch race in the last. Well, since when? I mean, I'd love to know the viewing figures of it. I mean, it must have gone viral. It must have, people outside of racing must have been watching that because, the betting slips posted on Twitter. It was just astonishing. How some people got on at the prices they did. I mean, that's another matter. I mean, we'll get onto that in a bit, but I've certainly got my theories, behind, who's behind this. When you piece it all together, I think it makes quite interesting sort of reading behind it. I mean, basically the first horse, Fire Away, was formerly trained in Ireland. It then supposedly moved to Zara Burke, and then it supposedly moved 11 days later to Miss Morgan. And she went on TV to say today that it had only been in her yard for 11 days. The second runner, Blowing Dixie, was bought for a substantial sum, especially for its profile, an all-weather horse, £50,000. A Southern all-weather specialist, dropped in mark, obviously been lined up. And the final horse was trained by Nicky Henderson, formerly, and ended up at Zara Burke. But I've got a theory on this, that all three of these horses were trained by Ian Jardine at Lenny Lungo's base. The reason I say this is because the second runner, obviously, is Ian Jardine. The third and the first horse were supposedly at some point in Zara Burke's care. Well, Zara Burke can't train Ivy to run up a wall. So that he'd just be no good to be landing gambles of this ilk. And for me, that's where this all stems from. I think it's a Jardine special. And I mean, if you look back through time, Lenny Lungo, for example, he used to train Magic Combination, I believe, for Barney Curley. I mean, is Barney something to do with this? It's very Barney-esque, as in, let's buy a horse for a really good, solid fee at the sales that that can do the business and line it up, for D-Day. It just stinks of Curley. He's done it before with the likes of trainers like Sophie Leach, Chris Grant, in past gambles, and it's his style. Three different trainers, allegedly, but aren't really three different trainers. And job jockeys, if you like, sort of Andrew Mullen, and Alan Corley, which we know Alan Corley rides all JP's, the green and gold stop jobs and stuff like that. So it looks it looks that kind of operation. I'm also told that off a few bookmaking market bods that a lot of the accounts used were fresh ones. So basically, accounts getting opened up, small trebles placed right across the board yesterday evening at a simultaneous time. So obviously, this is well crafted. Because if you think about it, the prices, you could have a £10 treble, and I mean that just pays astronomical sums. And basically, that would be all my theory on it. I mean, what do you think? I've got some credence there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, as you said, it rates these previous curling multiple bets, doesn't it? I mean, the aspect of it that concerned me really was, like Sir Richard High was on the telly after the first one won. He's saying it's going to cost the industry 10 million quid. It's not going to cost the bookies, it's going to cost the industry. Which, of course, I was harking back to the wholly inappropriate and, in some cases, you would say morally corrupt gross profits tax deal with bookmakers, where it makes racing the only sport on the planet that I'm aware of that actively seeks to remove money from its followers. Which I would never get my head around. And today's events, I mean, are a good case in point, because you get to the last leg of this treble and who are you cheering for? I mean, before the gross profits deal, you'd love to see the bookmakers get the pants pulled down.
Yeah.
And now, if you're cheering for the last one to win, are you going for a 50% cut in prize money this fat season or what? It's a bit concerning, isn't it? That racing is so dependent on bookmakers making money. It's something that'll never sit comfortable with me.
No, I mean you're spot on. I mean we have touched on this before in personal chats, and you're spot on in everything you say about this. I mean, the thing for me though with bookmakers is they've annoyed me for a long time, because they will not spend any money on decent odds compilers like back in the day. And I mean, just a case in point here. So we'll discuss the three horses. You've got Fire Away, that was 25 to 1. 22 to 1, I think, was the general price, or round about that. Now, that horse has had two, on what we know, what the general Joe public knows, it's had two trainers that cannot train to save their life, right? And it's gone to a trainer that can train. Now, so who's putting up 20, who would in the right mind put up 20, 25 to, I don't know, who does this? I mean, that should have been possibly, on my sort of tissue, 6 or 7 to 1 tops. That's like single figures acceptable, but double figures, what are you doing? The second horse, Blowing Dixie, it's won 4 times at Trouble. It's a fibre sand specialist. It's dropped in class. It's dropped in weight. Who's putting that in at 14? Yeah, I mean, it just blows your mind. Again, that's probably around a 3 to 1, 7 to 2 chance tops. I mean, the last one is certainly the one that I agree. Who's backing one from Popeye to Dara Burke? That's a clever one. I mean, that's the one that you think, well, how no one could fancy that. And
you think that Lee was in there to ensure they got paid?
I had a feeling, and this is my feeling, and I still can't believe they've not done it. Why they didn't non-runner it?
Yeah.
Why on earth would you win win at 20-25, win at 16-1. What do you need? What you know for a fact anyway? There's a potential problem in getting paid. You know, I mean, there'll be some bookmakers that aren't going to come quietly on this one.
So if there's a problem in getting paid, would you say there'd be less of a problem if you had 2 winners out of 3 rather than 3 out of 3?
Good point. Yeah, didn't see it like that. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's
you know, run one that stinks, and you know it's not going to win, but you let it off with the singles and doubles.
That's actually a cracking point. Never saw it like that, and you're right. That is perfect sense. As in, you don't need the third one.
Yeah.
And you're more likely to get paid because you haven't.
Yeah.
The pants are still on, if you like. It's not total pants down.
No.
Yeah, really good point. Yeah.
The pants are on, but you'll give them a skid mark.
Yeah. But, I mean, it comes back again. I mean, this is the thing for me. Like, there's a Charles Burns thing happening at the moment. You know, I mean, the appeal's on Tuesday. And I watched an RTE interview with Charles Burns this afternoon. Praise the Lord, thanks, you know. I mean, he's got not much to say, obviously, and he's not going to. But the point is, right, racing is suffering in a way, because how do you encourage, you know, a random fellow that enjoys a bet? I'm not on about Shilton's crusade to stop all betting and, you know, and all this. I'm on about somebody that thinks, you know, it's Dublin Festival this weekend, I fancy a bet. And then on the very first day, they see this big treble gamble, and they might look in the form book, or they might look to see, well, how do you pick these out? You know, and you've absolutely no chance. I mean, it's akin to flapping, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's good. To be honest, and I don't know what you felt, but when that last one ran today, Gallaghers Cross, so a lot of people were cheering it on, wanted it to win, you know, but I get the romance of it, yeah, you know. But I wanted it to get beat. And that was not to protect bookmakers, it was just really for the, you know, the sport. I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me. I mean, everyone knows this game, right? Everyone knows, everyone has it off, everyone has a target, everyone gets the horse handicapped, everyone, you know, likes to land a bit of a touch. But, I mean, at 25, 16s and 33s, I mean, it's like, these lads are wanting, it's a bit brazen, they're wanting 25-1 about 3s on chances. They're not wanting 25s about a 10 spoke, or they're backing their horse at 8s, knowing it's a 5-2 chance, or a 3-1 chance, if it breaks and comes out and all this rubbish. They're basically wanting, it's like a load of debt. It's like they're wanting 25, they're getting 25s and they've already got an ace. You know, ace has been pulled over by a dealer, and, you know, you're 4-6, 4-7 to beat the dealer. It's like, well, that for me, that is like flapping. That's the days where you used to get your dog off 10 starts at Ascot, and, you know, and it would never in any danger of losing as long as it didn't break down. And I think that's where I think the Irish, or whoever's behind this, obviously, everything I've said, by the way, so far is allegedly. Like I said, I've got my theories, but they just want everything on a plate, and I think that's the. It's not sexy to me when it's just too brazen, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that last one was in there as a deliberate lag and was always going to get beat, to be honest.
It's interesting you say that, yeah.
I would hope that was the case, really, because otherwise, you know, I mean, you're talking ridiculous amounts for not a lot of integrity, really. I mean, it never looked like winning, did it?
No, and I think, I mean, it travelled okay, but it sort of curled up like a big turd, and the head went to one side, didn't it? You know.
The thing was, I was talking to Ginger Hitler while the race was taking place, and he really got into the spirit of things as you'd expect, and back the second favourite. And I thought they did a job on the second favourite because there was no pull anywhere near to have a chance of winning the race.
Yeah.
So whether Cottonwall Mickey thought he was going on a trailer or what, I don't know, but I think you could have asked questions about that there.
See, that's it, right? I mean, I only watched one horse in that race. Obviously, when I do my video stuff, I'll go back and watch for the rest. But I've only watched Gallaghers Cross. I'll confess. That's the only horse I watched, and you can imagine. There'd be millions watching it. I mean, like everyone will have just watched that horse and nothing else. I mean,
the ride that Cottonwall Mickey's got was interesting to say the least.
That was Bully and Boss, is that right?
Yeah, that's your second favourite, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just there was a lot wrong with that race, I thought. You know, and I'd definitely asked the question of what was going on with the ride there.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, a lot of people that I look at on Twitter, you know, are cheering this kind of treble on it. But let's be right here. The people behind this are not the little guy. They're not the man in the syndicate or the punter that dreams of winning big. The people behind these kind of gambles, they've already got absolutely millions. You know, I mean. This is the thing. I mean, I've seen owners in different yards from. Again, I'm not going to mention names, but like that are basically worth millions, possibly. I mean, well, JP McManus, example, I can mention him. You know, why is he? He's doing it for the sport. You know, he's also got plans. He's messing with them. They have targets, and this is what I'm saying. That like people are championing this gamble, but I think people have to remember that. You know, this is not the...
These are people that can easily afford to have £100 each way patents, 30k.
Oh, yeah. It's and I think that's where I was sort of like getting on board at first thinking, you know, this is like great sport really. But then when you consider all the implications of it, like you said, there's going to be less money for the levy. And before people say that's listening to that and say, yeah, but if you'd have known, you'd have had the same bet. Yeah, I can't deny that. I can't actually deny it. But at the same time, because that's just human nature. It's like it's kind of a thing where you just think, well, I'm on the value. I've been told this. This is like they're all going to go off ridiculously short. So why am I not going to play? But it still doesn't make it right, good, and proper, if you know what I mean. Like I say, it does sound like sour grapes, that, you know, by me saying that, well, is it good for the game? But as I said, it can't be good for the game, in many forms. I'm all for gambles. I'm all for people owning horses.
Isn't it? You know, I mean, at the minute, anybody winning money is not good for the game.
Yeah.
And that can't be right.
No. That's a good point. Like you say, why shouldn't it? It's not sold as you can win money at the game, is it?
No.
You know, if you could, I mean, I think that's with the gambling commission, etc. Inquiry at the moment and proposal. I think this is where bookmakers have lost that sort of like selling point. Everyone in our area was brought up on, you know, you can win money on the horses. Now. You never ever told that. You know, you're basically shown down a certain path, and
you never see a probability.
Yeah, you know, it's just it literally is. That's where I think it's all gone wrong. But I mean, there's been some great tweets on it today. I mean, if anyone sort of like hasn't caught up on the subject, I'm sure if you Google. Like any of the horses' names, Fire Away, Blowing Dixie or Gallaghers Cross, you'll see some great tweets. There was one from an owner I know called David Hadrill, and he said basically, you know, in the past it was all about, you know, getting on in the betting shops and going. Nowadays it's like see if you can find a a bus driver, a shopkeeper, and to get your bets on for you. It literally is some great stuff out there. But I mean, as I said, my theories on who it is. I think this is where the BHA again come into question, because it's that easy then clearly to stick horses with different yards. So how is that acceptable? I mean, in this day and age, I'll get a question to you now. Do you think, right? You know how they chip them so you can tell who they are when they scan them, right?
Yeah.
In this chip, is it not worth maybe some kind of GPS on a horse?
I was going to say, I think rather than who they are, it's probably more important to know where they are.
Well, of course it is. I mean, if Willie Mullins was training one compared to a 2% trainer in Ireland, then you're getting 33s about an even money shot. So, I mean, surely with technology these days, I mean, I don't know how possible that is. I mean, I might be talking absolute baloney, or maybe a daily GPS check to check that, these horses are where they say they are. Because clearly, Dara Burke's, I mean, he's not been got fit. The first one, anyway, it's not been got fit by Dara Burke. It's definitely not. And I think that's it. That it's like misleading. I don't think it's savoury. I don't think you can have that. And the BHA, I think, needs to do more on that.
Absolutely. I mean, they don't have a clue who's training what at the minute, I don't think.
Well, is it protocol? I think I've read, and somebody might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's protocol that the horse has to be in the yard for at least 10 days before they can run. Now, obviously, Miss Morgan has said it's been in the yard 11 days. I think she's made a mistake saying that because it makes it less believable. I mean, it's only been in the yard 11 days. I mean, so how can it perform like that? And how can there be so much money behind it if it's only been in the yard 11 days?
He's had 5 days because he's emptied it up.
Well, basically, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have said that,
Yeah.
But anyway, this is where we're at, and again, it comes back down to the BHA, and when it's run like it is by the BHA, I mean, we moan about the BHA horse racing Ireland the same, I mean, I mean, Willie Mullins, 9 winners, Dublin Festival. What's gone on there? 9 winners. Is Gordon just not bothered, or is it just a case of he's had the old nuts and hay? The nuts and hay at the Mullins camp is rather pertinent.
I don't think Gordon's still bothered till next month, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think Gordon will be putting up a bit more of a contest.
Yeah.
Second week in March. But that said, he's got a bit of ground make-up now. There's some impressive winners of Willie Mullins this weekend. None more so than that Punkler horse.
I think that I agree, but don't you think there were some processions as well? Like for example, Kenboy today. Watch them go for the tape. It was 5 lengths back.
Nobody wanted to give him a race, did they? No.
5 lengths back to Melindo. Mellon that took him on last time decided, well, that's been safe for Cheltenham. I mean, there's no way Mellon was off today. No way. I'm not having it. Because you wouldn't ride it like that. You just way off the pace, kind of took an effort turning in and just stayed on for alright pressure, but it wasn't an at the races ride. I mean, Mellon I'd be interested in at the festival in whatever they decide to go for, preferably the Ryanair. Catherine likes it for the Ryanair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean these are things. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's been a fabulous weekend. I have enjoyed the races, but a trainer having 9 winners, I mean, it's just a bit. I don't know. I mean, all right, people will point out he's probably had about 623 runners, but. He's still managed 9 winners.
He's too dominant, isn't he? I mean, he's not healthy.
No, I don't think so. But we say it on the flat as well, don't we? We Coolmore and kind of gets and that's where the
there's 3 yards now on the flat, isn't there? There's Colmar, there's Gosden and Godolphin.
yeah. I mean, like I said, with Prince Carly, doing one on us. I mean, that he was the one that sort of provided balance to the force, if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The concentration is good horses all in very limited areas, and you're relying on somebody getting proper lucky to get a good outside of that lot, aren't you?
Yeah. So just to finish off, then, I mean, we know it's incredibly sort of if you use the word bent, if you like, today's treble, but like so are you saying good for racing or bad for racing?
I think we can do without it.
Yeah, I think, like, I mean, I don't mind gambles. I just don't like it sort of like, I mean, we're talking lottery numbers here, aren't we? 25 to 1, 16 to 1, 33 to 1. This is just like...
It's like our third play, you're getting 20 with the double.
Yeah, like you said, you've made total sense with that. I didn't come to that conclusion, but I think you're right. I think maybe the third one was a bit duff. And it was a kind of, well, if that wins, it wins, but it probably won't. And it ran like that, didn't it? It ran a bit flat, disappointing, as if to say that was the sort of the red herring, if you like, out of the 3. That's a fair.
Jockey could go all in, didn't have to strangle it or anything, but just wasn't good enough.
That's a fair assessment. John, right? That's good show. That I would say, like I said, my own personal preferences. I don't like to see things like this too often. Barney Curley, for example. No normal punters can play really. We just sit back and kind of call it enjoy the show, but sort of enjoy the razzmatazz behind it. I must admit, I couldn't focus today betting. I was struggling to focus on the actual races because I was more interested in what was going off with these 3. I found myself reading Twitter half of the day instead of looking at races properly. It kind of blew me away what was going on. Anyway, right, to end the show this week, obviously you'll be aware that we have the Superbowl this evening, and I decided to ask a friend of mine, Andy Richmond, who's an extremely good judge on the NFL.
Good fan.
Yeah, he's a fan of the show, and basically he sent me a lovely preview, and I thought I'd just mention a few things out of it because, like I say, if you follow him on Twitter, it's Bickley14. That's BICKLEY 14. That's on. Or if you just type in Andy Richmond into the Twitter search, you'll find him. And certainly, if you're betting on the Super Bowl tonight, he provides a good in-running commentary on the game as well. Certainly a good account to follow. And he's provided me some thoughts on tonight's game. And one thing that I did like the look of, or what he did say was he says one final thought, Lee. If you're going to back either side, then whoever you pick, it's more than likely that the winning side's quarterback will take the MVP. That's the most valuable player title that's given at the end of the game. Of the 21 Super Bowls since 2000, 13 MVP titles have gone the way of the winning quarterback, with 7 of the last 10 going that way. So, Andy prefers to back Mahomes, that's Patrick Mahomes, that's the Kansas quarterback, at odds of 10 to 11 generally available. He says that's better value than the 8 to 13 on the Chiefs outright win. And I thought that was an interesting take on it. So if anyone's playing tonight, that's one of Andy's bankers. He went on to say there are obviously loads of markets on this event, ranging from the sensible through the eclectic to the downright I'll take a guess up. One of the biggest obviously is the coin toss, but he kind of amused me when he said he'd rather have a fire up on the colour of the Gatorade of the winning coach that gets perennially doused in it at the end. And he says apparently orange Gatorade is favourite in the market and would have copped in 3 of the last 7 Super Bowls. So if anyone likes daft bets, that's something that could go along. Me personally, I'm a Chiefs fan and I'm having a few quid on the Chiefs. just outright. I'm safer than Andy. Andy likes his 10 to 11. I'll take the 4 to 6, 8 to 13, the Chiefs, I think. John, do you have any interest in Yankee egg chasing?
Yeah, I'm all over red Gatorade, actually.
Red Gatorade for John, interesting. What price is that?
Raspberry or whatever it is.
Yeah, that raspberry Gatorade, yeah. They're mad on it over there, aren't they? Yeah. But yeah, so Super Bowl tonight for anyone that's sort of staying up with these. If you're sort of not working at the moment and you find yourself sort of housebound and sleep patterns all over the place, Super Bowl is taking place at 11:30 tonight and goes on until the small early hours, if that's your thing. That's it for today's show. I hope you've enjoyed it. Me and John will be back, and 100% Catherine is back Friday. So there'll be me, John and Catherine for next Friday's show. For the warmed-off punter edition, which was promised this week, but we kind of changed it because we felt we had to get the big treble discussion in. The warmed-off punter will be on the show next Sunday. That's all from me and John. Bye for now.